Hello everybody and welcome back to the Builders Academy, where today class has begun, and today we're talking about block palette and texture and gradient and those types of things in your build and how you can implement them. Now the first thing I want to talk about this class is picking your block palette, how you should go about selecting it, how figure out which blocks work together to make a build look great. So let's head on over to the whiteboard real quick and begin our lesson. Hello everybody, here we are outside to begin our lesson. Now the first thing that we have to do when selecting a block palette or starting any build, we need to figure out what kind of colors we want to use here and what we want it to look like. So let's begin here. Most of the time when you want to do a build, even in survival, you should come into creative and just try and figure it out beforehand. First thing to do, figure out your base color, the base color you want your building to be made out of. And for this episode, for this lesson, we are going to be just referring to basically a house. So we're not going to do anything crazy, just like general houses. So let's begin looking for our base color. So let's say we want a base of stone or a base of granite. Okay, those are two examples. Base of wood, that's also very common. These are some common things going on here. You could do crimson wood, warped wood. Okay, these are all normal base colors. So let's just take a couple for example. Let's just take these three as our three base colors for example. So come in here and find the color that you want, or the block that you want to be primarily your base block. Now remember, we're going to integrate other blocks in with this, so it won't be strictly this block. That is how you elevate a build. You add texture and stuff to it and don't just stick with one block, and that's what I'm teaching here today in this lesson. So now that we have our base color for three different builds selected, the next step in developing your block palette is figuring out your highlight color. So a secondary color that's going to complement this color, your base color, very well and help it pop out a little bit. So for example, let's start here with this. With stone bases, stony bases, wood is usually always the answer. So with stone, I always go with like a spruce or a dark oak because it helps it pop out more. See how it highlights it a little bit? And with stairs and slabs of that to go around the windows or even pillars, let's get some spruce logs in here basically, and there we go. That is going to be a good block palette to highlight it, and this helps it, develop color more. Now let's go over here. For example, granite is a difficult block because what color would complement this? Now one that I always go with is of course quartz. Quartz is a great one to use with granite, but also I like to use sandstone a lot. Both of these are great complementary colors for the granite color, and it just helps it pop and develop so much, especially when you add bricks and other things along with it. Now I'm sure there's a lot of other things you could do with this, but because granite is such a strange complex block and kind of a strange color, you have to use kind of simple colors to go with it, such as a white or a beige like this, to kind of lift it a little bit. With this, with a plain wood, especially oak, what you want to do is basically more wood or stone along with it. So you're kind of flipping this. So I like to use a darker wood alongside this wood, something like this. And then if we grab some more dark oak instead of spruce, this would be a good block palette right here to begin with. So the first step is picking your base color: stone, granite, wood, something like that. It could be anything, guys. Look at all these blocks we have in Minecraft. Get creative. Blackstone is a great one that I love to use. Next, you need to pick your highlight color, your complementary color to go with your base color. That'll help it pop just a little bit more. Next, guys, what you need to add is what I like to call your pop color, and not all builds really need this, but for example, this one right here with kind of gray and brown colors here, this would help. Now a pop color for me is usually in the roof, and it usually means terracotta, and green and lime terracotta are always my go-to when it comes to this build palette, because that is an incredible color combination right there. Now it doesn't have to be that, it could be any of these. I could use warped wood or something to go in the roof, but what I like to do, because this is such a plain block palette. I need this color extra pop in the roof to help it stand out. Now, terracotta is a great way to go, because if you take any of these, magenta and purple, or if we take, for example, red and pink, any of these, light blue, blue, these all work as roof colors and complement each other in the roof. So this is an incredible way to get some extra color into your build and make it pop so much. As for these two, trying to develop pop colors for them, this one already has kind of a complex style going on, and now I wouldn't use quartz and sandstone. You could, I don't think it would look bad, but I don't know if I would personally use that because we're going to add other blocks to this. So I think I'd use one of them as my pop color to go in there, as this is already kind of a complex build palette in itself. This one, on the other hand, not very complex. I would definitely add some kind of pop color to this. You could do terracotta. You could do any of these warped style logs. You could do stone, just add andesite or stone in there, a different color, maybe wool into the roof and stuff. These are different ideas that you could come up with to help all of these pop just a little bit more and stand out. Okay guys, now that you have selected the semi base for your block palette, this is the next step, adding the detail. So take your base color, take the one you selected, stone, granite, wood, whatever it may be. These are my 3 different examples, and get some texture in there. I'm going to take, for stone, I'm going to take andesite, cobblestone, and I will get some stone brick in here as well, just like this. And what we're going to do is we're just going to texture it. We're going to pop out some of these blocks and texture it in to make it a little bit more detailed. So this is going to add depth to your build without actually adding any physical depth. You're just changing the block palette up a little bit with some randomization of the blocks, just like this. And it makes it look so much better than just a plain stone wall. There we go. Beautiful. So this has become our new base block palette for this build. This is the new block palette we are going to be using as our base color for this one. Second block palette over here, the granite. Similar to how I did over here, we're going to add bricks into it for sure. We're going to grab some bricks right here, and we're going to pop in some bricks. Bricks and granite are incredible. That's one of the best block combinations ever in Minecraft. It really is so good. Once we have that, we could add another. We could either add polished granite in for some detail, or that we can add some plain terracotta for extra detail, but it is a little smooth compared to the others, so it might not look as good, but it does look nice. Now this is in contrast, this is what it would look like if you added polished granite. Either is a great option, and this has become now our new block palette for this build as our base color. So it's not just granite anymore, it has become way more. And finally, we are going to head over to this. Now, a wooden wall does not have many options, but what you do have is these stripped oak logs to go with the oak. So if we add just some of this in here, just pop it in there periodically, that already looks a lot better than it did. But there's also other blocks we can use, guys. So for example, you could use a different color wood to contrast it. If you want to do that, it would look a little bit good, but it also is kind of strange. So it does look good, it does, but you can use more complicated blocks. For example, beehive blocks, the same color as oak. Now that we have our walls, we have to add in our complementary color, our detail color. So let's go ahead and grab it. For this we have spruce, for this one we have quartz, and this one we have dark oak. So let's go ahead and add it in. Obviously we want depth, guys, so add it in a block in front to make it a wall. Okay, we don't want any flat sides here. We're not trying to have look at this. This would be what it looked like if we did it like this. Look at the textures. They do not match at all. It has to be one block in front or behind. Could be behind if you're going to go do something crazy, but let's go ahead and pop this in here just like that. Now all of these have their complementary colors in with them, and you're basically ready to build, because then all you have to do, let's take this one for example, and let's pop in a little bit of a little roof here. This is going to be what the build is basically going to look like, and obviously this is going to be textured a little bit into here, and just something like this. And yeah, that is a beautiful build right there. Beautiful palette for the build. So guys, I'm going to show you exactly how to do that in this quick little build. We are going to be using this block palette right here to construct a small house. And so everybody, here is the practical application of everything that we have been talking about. Oh, don't mind the back. It should be the same as the front, but it's not right now. But here we go. Just a simple little build using the exact block palette we selected, and look at how beautiful it became. Not only is it better because of the block palette we chose, but because we added texture. This roof is much better because there's two colors. The walls are much more detailed because there's multiple types of stone in the walls. Same with the spruce. Added logs, trapdoors, stairs, all different, slightly different in themselves. And then the shape was also different, adding this tower here. One other thing I could have done is maybe add a chimney over here a little bit. Also, I put it over there and flipped it around so I could get a better screenshot of it because the shaders make it a little shaded in the front here. But I like this build overall, guys, and it's a great example of how you do exactly what we've been talking about. The next thing I want to talk about real quick is something like this in your walls. This is called a gradient. I'm sure you know that, but this is a strategy you can use in your walls to make it look like it has even more depth. So on slightly bigger builds or even on small builds, it would take a decent amount of skill to do that, but you could easily implement it into a smaller build. But you do a gradient, starting with the darker color and slowly fading it out into a lighter color. This is the perfect example here with stone, but we also have another example here with wood. Slightly harder to do because the spruce is kind of strange colors and it's a little bit off, and the wood is pretty drastic change, but just another example of a gradient. I just wanted to bring that up because if you put a gradient into your walls, it could look even better. So if you guys are having a hard time coming up with a build palette for yourself in Minecraft, here you go. My best suggestions for my favorite build palettes here in the Builders Academy, and stick around because every week I'm going to be giving you more tips for building. This week we're talking about color, texture, and build palette, so here you go. So guys, that is going to bring our class to an end this week in the Builders Academy, and I hope you stick around because next week we're going to be talking about windows. How you can make your windows 10 times, 100 times better, how to make them look nicer, stand out, and really not make the wall look even flatter. So stick around guys for next week, and if you enjoyed this week's, please leave a like and give me some suggestions for how you liked the video and what we could do next time. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next week.